But let's talk some baseball with the man I love talking baseball with. He's in the Hall of Fame for a reason because he knows everything about this sport. Of course, a great columnist for The Athletic. He does a podcast called Starkville. He is, of course, Jayson Stark. Hello, Jason.
Mike, happy All-Star break.
Yes, the All-Star break was not vacation for you. You were working it,
No.
and you had another weird and wacky situation happen at the All-Star game. Right? I think this stuff is orchestrated for you, frankly.
I feel like it. I really do. There are some things that happen in baseball, and it feels like they're just happening because I happen to be there. That was one of those things. When they lined up for that home run derby after 9 innings, people were just looking at me because they knew.
All right, so you're
talking
to Logan Webb, and you go, so we just fixed baseball with that shootout, and he says, yeah, I think so. Did they fix baseball with that shootout? Has the shootout saved baseball, Jason?
No, I don't think we're going to get to that in the regular season anytime soon. But I'll tell you what, Mike. I did have this thought that, they play the All-Star game, and every bigwig in the sport is sitting there in the seats. They see how the people react. They see how the players react. They saw the fun that went with that. And those wheels are turning. I think we have a long way to go before you can convince people that this is how you should end regular season games. But let me ask you, if you had a vote between the zombie runner and the swing off, how would you vote?
Well, I like the zombie runner. I really do, because I think it brings strategy into the game, and you still have to get. Yeah, there's no strategy to the other thing. But the way the world is going with the quick fix, I don't know that it would take that long to put that in. Like, could you have seen the Ghost Runner come in the game? Like, the progression of that came in. Like, why wouldn't this? Like, it's not far-fetched to me to think that this could come in.
Yeah, if you'd asked me 10 years ago about the zombie runner, I'd have said no chance. But then, when they started using it in the minor leagues, when I started talking about it with people in the minor leagues, and I heard how much they loved it, it kind of got me intrigued just in that idea. You just alluded to this, but baseball has always had the least interesting overtime in any sport, right?
Yeah.
Because nothing happened. It was so hard to score. And this is strategy right from the get-go. And I always said, it's way better than deciding the World Cup by penalty kick shootout. But this might be a kind of a secondary model where you play, 10th inning and 11th inning with the zombie runner, and if you're still tied, then you go to a derby-type deal? I don't know. Would you go for that?
I probably would. Listen, I've turned a lot about baseball and their traditions, so I probably would go there. The problem with the Phillies is they wouldn't have a third guy to hit home runs. That'd be the problem.
They might have more than the American League ran up there.
Maybe. Which gets me to my next point. What is this deal with the guys leaving early from the All-Star game? I mean, that would not have happened in the heyday of the Hank Aaron, Willie Mays All-Stars, would it?
Yeah, it was funny. It's very rare that you have a team blow a 6-run lead. It's never happened in an All-Star game. The previous biggest lead that was ever blown in an All-Star game was 5 runs. The American League blew a 5-run lead. I can't remember the year off the top of my head, but something like 1955. And you know how that game was decided? The National League won on a walk-off homer by Stan Musial in the 13th inning. If Stan Musial played today, he would have been in Maui by the 13th inning.
See, that's what I mean. Like, well, since they say, this game could be decided by a swing-off, maybe you got like a guy like Cal Raleigh's in street clothes. Like, I don't understand it. At least hang around.
He was still in the park, actually, Cal Raleigh.
Yeah.
The judge was long gone. The list of guys who was long gone is too long to go through right now, but that's how these guys are empowered to do it. That whole Dodgers delegation had to go to the ESPYs, I guess. They were all out of the park by the 4th inning.
It's ridiculous.
They're all out of the game and out of the park.
Now, would the commissioner have something to say about that?
Well, Look, I give Dave Roberts a lot of credit because he lined up his guys for the Derby before the game ever started. Schwarber committed. Pete Alonso committed, even though he was out of the game.
Yeah.
And he had Eugenio Suarez committed. I felt like Aaron Boone just kind of made it up on the fly.
Yeah.
When you saw who was going to hit for the National League, you knew they were going to win because those guys were into it. And like it's just part of the world we live in.
Yeah,
I
guess they're going to the tropical islands. Let's talk about Schwarber. Now, what he did was pressure packed. There's no question. He hits 3 home runs, they could win, even though the last serve didn't come yet. I question, however, that you can name a guy who hits 3 home runs off a BP pitcher as the MVP of the All-Star Game. Now, did you vote for Schwarber?
No, I don't get a vote.
You don't get a vote?
But I don't know who votes for MVP of the All-Star Game.
All right.
I have no idea. It is not me, I can tell you that. And, I mean, it is bizarre that a guy got 0 hits in the All-Star Game was the MVP.
yeah, it is.
But the legend of Kyle Schwarber grew on those 3 swings to such an extent that he just felt like the obvious choice. He just marched up there and won the All-Star Game by himself. If you're going to decide it that way, then what the heck, Mike?
I guess. I don't know. I'm taking a lot of flack because I suggested Alonso should have got the MVP, even though he didn't hit in that swing off. He hit a major home run during the game against a pitcher who was trying to get him out.
He would have won.
Yeah.
I'm sure he would have won.
All right. Let's look at the Phillies at the All-Star break, Jason. They're in first place. And as I said before, you would never know it since we're mostly focused on what they aren't and what they don't have. So assess what they are right now and what they will need to do absolutely to be a World Series contender.
Well, the All-Star Game is always an interesting place for me to be. Get to talk to a lot of people there. One of them was Kyle Schwarber. I had a nice talk with him. He really thinks that they haven't even played that well, and they're in first place. And I went back and looked. I was going to do this in the stat of the week if we got to it. But when the Phillies are in first place at the break, they almost always win. Not like it happens every year around here, but they're actually in good position, despite what you might think. And other teams look at them as a team they don't want to play. I had a GM of one team say to me, "Hey, they're like," and this is a contending team, like a very good team, and he said to me, "We want no parts of them. They're the one team we've played all year where when we finished, we said they have a better starting pitcher than us every single game. You don't feel like you're going to win." But he also said they've got to fix their bullpen. So I completely agree with that. And I ran into a guy in Atlanta who had talked to Dave Dombrowski. He told me his clear impression is that Dave is gearing up to do something big. What he'd like to do in the perfect world may not happen in the real world. It's a very weird market still. But he said Dave would give up a lot of chips if he could get that big back-end bullpen arm and a legit everyday outfielder. And, again, this is ideally, keep both of them beyond this year. Like, I think the perfect Dave Dombrowski trade is Byron Buxton and Johan Duran from the Twins, and then he'd have both of them for 3 pennant races. Now, look, I bet the Twins trade neither of them. I was told that if they sell, which they haven't decided to do, it would just be, the word was strategic selling, and that probably means no selling. But let's just say for that package, would you give up Aiden Miller and Mick Abel and Eduardo Tait, the catcher who's in the Futures game, and somebody like an Arun Escobar who's got a lot of buzz going in Clearwater, maybe more? I could honestly see Dave doing that based on what I'm hearing.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. So you didn't mention Painter. Are you talking about a big deal that would include him or not? Absolutely not.
No, I think he is off the table, and Crawford is close to no way. Aiden Miller is close to no way. It has to be a monster deal for them to trade him.
Okay. Let's get to our stat of the week. What is our stat of the week, Jason?
Okay, I alluded to this earlier, but as you know, Mike, it doesn't happen every year that the Phillies are in first place at the break. So I thought it would be interesting to look at what's happened in the years when they have led the division at the break. And what I found was it's almost always led to a really good second half. I mean, those teams from the 1970s and the early 80s, they won every year but one when they were in this position. The 2008 to 11 teams, we know what happened then. Like, they all took leads at the break, and then they were even farther ahead by the finish line. And we all know what happened last year. Okay, so the only real exceptions to this trend came in the Gabe Kapler years and the Larry Boa years. 2018, I had no recollection of them leading at the break in 2018, but they're up a half a game. They were 9 games over 500 at the break, and then that team just cratered, didn't even finish with a winning record. It did finish Gabe, so there was that. And then there were 2 years that our man Boa had him in first at the break, 2001, 2004, but those were the years when the Braves were still the Braves, and the Braves then did what the Braves always did, and so those teams didn't win. But in general, if we start in 1976, this is the 16th time in 50 seasons, only 16, that the Phillies led their division at the break, won the division 12 times, almost always had a better second half than first half. So, Mike, is that what's about to happen here? What do you think, man?
I have no idea. I got to be honest with you.
They're under repair.
Yeah, unless they make a deal, I can't even fathom what this team is going to be. But before I let you go, one last thing. Because there is this conversation since they drafted this Gage Wood. What I think is a ridiculous notion that he could possibly join the team at some time to be a high-leverage, back-end, 98-mile-an-hour type of relief pitcher. You've been around the game for a really long time. It's very rare that that's going to happen. Is it possible?
It's very rare. I mean, I'll give you a name, Garrett Crochet. The exact same thing happened with him. Look, this is a really interesting pick, this kid. Texting with some rival scouting directors just this morning. And, look, they think he will be in the big leagues fast. Guys do not hit his fastball. His curveball is another dominating swing and miss pitch. And, go check out you can find highlights of his no-hitter in the College World Series anywhere you look online. One of the most dominating games ever pitched in the College World Series. Mike, 119 pitches, 8 balls put in play, 19 strikeouts. There's never been a no-hitter in the big leagues like that. So just think about that. 119 pitches, 8 put in play? Oh, my God. Yeah. So we know he's going to get to the big leagues if he stays healthy faster than any pitcher the Phillies have drafted since Aaron Nola. Keith Law wrote on our site just the other day, if he were the Phillies, he'd make him a reliever. He'd get him to the big leagues as a reliever by September. Not necessarily to...
Whoa!
Not necessarily to pitch the 9th inning. That's a little strong.
Yeah.
But that's how good the stuff is. I don't think that's their plan. But
it may be a possibility.
He's the stuff profiles that way. People like him as a starter. They do, but it's 2 unhittable swing and miss pitches, and very big league ready. His what has set him back and what dropped him that far in the draft has just been health. But if he's healthy in September and pitching like this, would you think about it? Come on, Mike.
Oh my, poor Joe Ross.
No. Yes, I don't think Joe Ross is going to be a major figure here.
No, he's not. I guess I'd take Gage Wood over Joe Ross. Jayson, interesting stuff. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
Look forward to it, man.
There
Thanks.
he is, the great Jayson Stark, checking in with our weekly visit. Well, how about that, Ray?
Oh, boy.
Dave Dombrowski gearing up to make a big deal, and Gage Wood, possibly we could see him in September. I still can't believe it.
Wood in the 8th inning, Duran in the 9th. Start to believe it, folks. It's happening in Philly. The pennant run is on.
That means they're going to add 3 players. 610-632-0975. We're back after this.
Thanks for watching. I love these outro videos because I can actually talk with my hands and it looks normal here. So subscribe right here and watch some more videos for us. How about it?